Democrats are now the party, like their number one plank in their entire party is we need to protect violent crime.
That's insane.
How in the world did they get to this point?
Your political prognosis coming out for where they are is horrible.
I don't want to say the death cycle of the Democratic Party, but there seems to be no end to this. In the New York Times.
Yeah.
You've got a guy and they print, looks like the death cycle for the Democratic Party.
Hardworking Americans know when it's time to roll up our sleeves and get the job done. Now is the time to unleash our nation's energy to create jobs, secure our future, and make life better, more affordable, and full of opportunity for all Americans. That's the power of America's oil and natural gas. Learn more at lightsonenergy.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Thursday to you. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. My name is Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook, left to right, across your radio dial as always. Listen, fellas, we've talked about this, but August is typically not a time where people are tuned into this kind of thing. We thank you, the listener and the viewer, for tuning in exponential numbers to the Ruthless Variety Program because we keep going up and up.
Yeah, all the new subscribers on YouTube, thank you so much. And if you have not yet, go over to the YouTube, subscribe. It's more fun video.
Yeah. It is. It's very fun. But we have some news, a lot of news here actually today. There was a story, and believe it or not, the New York Times.
Shocking, right?
New York Times. And Shane Goldmacher, who's a good reporter. I don't always agree, obviously, with things that he reports, but I've dealt with him a lot. I know Ashbrook has dealt with him a lot. I know Duncan's dealt with him a lot. You may have, but you wouldn't tell us about it if you did.
I think I was mean to him at the convention or something, right? I've seen him and been mean to him somewhere.
I think the point is he tries to get the thing right.
Right. He really does. More so than most in that industry.
He tries to get it right.
And
But he'll call you, and I'm not betraying any confidences, but he's the sort of reporter who would call you up and be like, "Hey, I just want to know if I'm being spun on this thing. Do you have a minute?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. You imagine there's like 2,000 of you out there that he makes that call to.
Yeah.
Because he wants to get to the story.
Right.
Which is all we've
That's
ever
reported.
asked.
And boy, Democrats are uncomfortable with the
They
facts
hate
he
that.
reported today.
Oh, they hate that.
Yeah.
And he's written this news story about the Democratic Party facing voter registration crises.
Huge.
But I think the overarching thing that we've covered here on the Ruthless Variety Program is where the Democratic Party is. And all of this is sort of downstream. Now, granted, there's been very good work. Scott Pressler and others have been doing good work to register Republicans in a variety of states. We wouldn't have had this kind of success that we had in 2024 without that effort being underway to help support Republican registration.
That's right.
But there's also just the other side of the coin, which is people falling off of the Democratic Party. And they just, it just doesn't represent them in one form or fashion. So we thought we'd start the show with is perhaps a couple of examples here over the last week of why it is that that's happening. Clip one, please.
Well, Tom Homan, let me tell you, all over the country, we will continue to stand up for our rights, and we will continue to call out the terrorist organization that is ICE.
The terrorist organization.
Terrorist.
Literally, these are law enforcement officers with a statutory obligated duty to try to enforce the border and interior security of people who shouldn't be here. Terrorist organization.
Yeah, imagine letting in 20 million illegal immigrants in this country and then calling the people trying to enforce the law within our borders terrorists. It's remarkable.
So you can kind of see where some of this struck a chord with the American people. Let's play clip two.
Here's how National Review summarized it. They said it was only 3 years ago that New York's Democratic legislature drew up a map so brazenly contemptuous of basic rules that govern a district's contiguousness that the state's Democrat-dominated Court of Appeals threw it out. The New York Times at the time called those maps comically contorted. That's their quote. So your state's highest court at the time, all the judges appointed by Democratic governors, they threw the maps out. So fair to say Democrats have done what they're now accusing Republicans of doing.
No, we followed the rules. We do it every 10 years. We base
But
it
the
on
court
census.
said you didn't follow the rules.
Well, we did follow the rules.
So the court was wrong?
Well, we followed the rules.
Amazing.
So that's Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, who is, you know,
A dumbass?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the right term, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Probably just a dumbass.
Technical, in some ways.
But isn't it remarkable that a person like her is so unprepared for that question? She goes on Fox News and finally she has to have an interview where someone asks her a difficult question.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
She has no answer.
And you see it with these politicians in places like New York and California. The second that they're at media that's going to ask them a serious question, it's like a deer in the headlights.
Saw it with Kamala.
Right.
You know, and that's what. So this is the redistricting fight that's enveloped the country. We're going to get into that in this show in more fulsome manner, and we've got news to break here on the Ruthless Variety program. Unique reporting on the redistricting point. But the point is that these guys have used their power in terms of redistricting, apportionment, like all of the things that you do with government, as a way to try to attack conservatives throughout the country for so long that they're just shocked that anybody would ever play by their rules, right? They're shocked by it. And so now all of a sudden they're being held accountable.
Yep.
And she doesn't have an answer for it. How about clip 3?
A lot of folks on the Republican side, your Republican colleagues, say that they are very scared to walk outside in D.C., that they think this is completely the right thing to do. Senator, are you scared walking around Washington, D.C. these days?
I walk around all the time. I wake up early in the morning sometimes and take a nice walk as
With
the
Secret
sun
Service?
is rising around some of the Capitol and the other monuments and things, and I feel perfectly safe. They're full of it.
I don't know what that outfit is, but I find it completely hilarious that a guy, and we've covered this before, a guy is surrounded by like 8 agents and 2 Suburbans.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, no, I walk around all the time. The point is, the overarching point of all of this is this separation from the reality that the American people are living, whether it is in terms of crime, as Schumer has discussed, redistricting, as Hochul has discussed, or immigration, as Ramirez in that ICE clip had discussed. They're so far away from the mainstream of the American public that it's hard to identify with if you don't eat, breathe, and sleep progressive democratic politics.
Well, I mean, look at the issue of crime itself, right? And that answer by Chuck Schumer sort of dismissing the whole thing. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody in this country that, you know, minority voters, low-income voters, black voters are voting increasingly for Republicans and President Trump when they get an answer like that from the Democratic leader.
Right.
Right? I mean, you look at Washington, D.C., and we've talked about this on the show. 96% of the victims of homicides in the District of Columbia are black, right? And the other 4% are because of Hillary Clinton. But
Wow! She can't keep getting away with it.
parody. We're laughing.
We're all laughing at the parody, and this is a fun satire show.
Vince Foster was a person.
He was left-handed. That's all I'm going to say.
Can I add something to this? Is since I would say it was around the time of Obama's election is when we started this nationwide lurch towards the left, of where it's not crime, it's poverty. You don't understand. These are poor people. It's not criminals. They're poor people. So then you have the theoretical ideas being put out by the professors, which then, you know, Soros and his groups pay to buy out prosecutors to put that kind of like professors' ideas into actual place. Let's get rid of cash bail. And here's the thing is now time has passed. So when you see Schumer being like, no, crime's not a problem in D.C., we've now seen the theoretical into what it has actually become. We've seen murders, carjackings all go up. We saw cash bail taken away everywhere they did that. Crime went up. We saw police being told, no, you're not going to charge this person with assault with a deadly weapon. We're going to bump that down into petty larceny, right? Because if facts are given out to the people, you can't piss on someone and tell them it's rain. And that's what they're still trying to do. They're trying to say, listen, 20 million illegals enter the country. We all saw the problems under Joe Biden. But listen, ICE is a terrorist organization. That doesn't fly anymore. People have now seen the repercussions of all these left-wing policies put into place. That's why registrations are falling, because it's no longer theoretical. We've seen what happens when the left has their policies put into place, and it's a disaster.
And we've seen what happens when you crack down on crime. And since President Trump has taken an effort to actually get things under control in this city, Washington, D.C., over 300 arrests, and David Marcus, Fox News contributor, West Virginia guy, great follow on Twitter, had a column this morning that there hasn't been a single murder in the city of Washington, D.C. this past week.
Wow.
That's a banner week, simply because President Trump was like, you know what, we need to stop this.
I mean, they'd throw a ticker taper in this city if they did it on their own.
Yep.
Right.
It's crazy. But I think one of the reasons why you listen to the Ruthless Friday program is because we have a little bit of experience under the hood on this kind of thing. And we're going to get to the end result of all of this with falling registrations shortly. But what you try to do when you're in a position of leadership within a party is that there's an energy of opposition. And the question is, can you direct it in a way that can actually give you majority coalitions? Can you use the energy to point it in a positive direction that can actually help people across the country and convince people of common cause to do it? And like, we were in that situation. I remember being in that situation in 2009 when you had like massive, like 50+ seat majorities for Democrats. Barack Obama won by an enormous number. They got to 60 seats in the United States Senate, filibuster approved. And our people were mad. Right? They were real mad. It was the beginning of the Tea Party and everything else. But as a person of leadership within the party, what you try to do is direct it to somewhere where you could make a difference. And they're doing the exact opposite, right? They're just taking the talking points of the paid activist group, the people who like finance their party, and they're just trying to move that ball a little further down the road, right? Consider just taking a half step back if you're in Democratic politics, saying, okay, we're going to objectively present a case to the American people that crime is not a problem.
It's
Think about that.
Dude, it is unbelievable to me that Democrats are now the party. Like, their number one plank in their entire party is we need to protect violent crime.
That's insane.
How in the world did they get to this point?
But they're doing it because the leadership of the party is afraid of the energy in the base. They don't direct the energy. That's what leadership does. If you have strong leadership within a party, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat or anything else, they try to influence one thing or another to a point where it focuses energy that ultimately helps you try to change what it is that you see as a problem. And like, these guys, they're in a situation where the crime is one. Second, it's like ICE is a terrorist organization. Despite the fact that you just had an election not smallly litigated on the fact of illegal immigration, even on the left, and then a week where you've got an illegal immigrant driving an 18-wheeler that kills 3 people in Florida because he's just like wholly unqualified to hold a Class A license in one place or another. And they're now in favor of it. They're like, no, the problem is Donald Trump for cracking down on stuff like that. Like, you can't, your political prognosis coming out for where they are is horrible.
It's terrible.
I think it's not just that they're captured by their base, and we've talked about this previously on the show, and I think USAID, for example, and the Doge cuts and everything sort of revealed some of this, is like, it isn't just the base, it isn't like grassroots Democrats that they're just captured by. It's also the institutional infrastructure of their party, right? Like, the people who get grants to go in and do, outreach in underprivileged communities that have a lot of violent crime, right? Like, there's 501c3 and C4 organizations that are made up of people who couldn't get a job in the private economy, but that are funded by Democratic administrations in these big liberal cities and things like that. Donald Trump stopping crime threatens that cottage industry
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah,
you're
Yes.
right. You're right.
Huge.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point. Well, coming up on the show, we're going to give you some new data furnished by the New York Times. The old gray lady, fellas. Paper of record.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's come out. The Democrats are not having a very good year. And we're going to dig into it right after this.
America is back. Thanks to President Trump and leader John Thune's working family tax cuts, we stopped the biggest tax hike in history. But that's only the beginning. The big, beautiful bill also cuts taxes on tips and overtime, secures the border, finishes the wall, and protects Medicaid for Americans, not illegals. Leader Thune and Senate Republicans got President Trump's conservative agenda done, providing real relief for every hardworking American that's up early and home late. We're bringing manufacturing jobs back home and making America great again. Tell Leader John Thune and Senate Republicans thank you for delivering President Trump's agenda. Learn more at onenationamerica.org.
So the gray lady of the New York Times reported the Democratic Party, this is the headline that they've written, Democratic Party faces a voter registration crisis. Let me read you a couple of bullets and we can all react to it. The party is bleeding support beyond the ballot box, a new analysis shows. The Democratic Party is hemorrhaging voters long before they even go to the polls. Of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats have lost ground to Republicans in every single one. Between 2020 and 2024 elections, and often by a lot.
Yeah.
We got to
Right?
need 30 for 30.
That four-year swing,
Registrations down.
that four-year swing towards Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out of.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer group of people.
That is written not here by the Ruthless Friday program. It is the New York Times.
Yeah, and it's not just happening in red states. It's happening in blue states. It's happening in purple states.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is seeing its voter base, independent voters, party switchers, voters across the country abandon them. I mean, that isn't like voting against you in a midterm or a presidential. That is somebody deciding to make the move to
Yeah.
switch party registrations. It's one of the most dramatic things that an individual voter can do to express their displeasure in the party.
Michael, to your point, I wonder if we can put that graphic back up again, because to the point that Michael was just making, if you look at the blue arrows down, a lot of them are in New England.
Yeah.
And that is the hotbed of Democrat representation. And as we know, most of the New England states are represented entirely by gerrymandered districts, specifically drawn for Democrats.
Well, and then look at like the Sun Belt, right? Like look at Arizona, look at Nevada. Nevada was one of the most dramatic shifts down for the Democratic Party. Remember, this was supposed to be the future of the new Democratic coalition.
Yep.
That was going to be heavily Latino, and it was going to be in these Sun Belt states that were gaining population against the Rust Belt, the flyover country that the Democratic Party has abandoned for the last 10 years. Well, they're doing dog shit in Arizona and Nevada.
Yeah, no, I mean, conversely, look at graphic 2. Look at what the Republicans are at. So this is the other side of the coin. So, look, I mean, Republicans are going up in a variety of directions. I mean, they're even in. I would like to see a little better performance, Smug, out of Colorado.
Yeah, what the heck? It's all the weed, right?
No, I mean,
They're all
dude,
high.
there's so many horrible things that have happened in Colorado. It's genuinely a tragic thing. It's genuinely a tragic thing. A lot of it is like the suffering from success problem of where you have a history of Republican leadership and conservatives in there, and things get really good. And so libs are like, nah.
How do I ruin this?
How do I ruin this?
Yeah.
Well, I've been watching, my friends from California are telling me that we should get rid of cash bail and we should legalize marijuana. We should allow criminals to run amok, and that in this house we respect illegal aliens. Like they suffer from success. And you had a not insignificant amount of California people move to Colorado, and they're like, let's vote for everything that we're escaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right, so like a lot of you live in states that don't register by party, and you're wondering, how it is that you've come to this prognosis. People extrapolate out, and this is the thing that the Times used to try to figure out in the states that do. But this is a paragraph that actually speaks to all of that. All told, Democrats lost about 2.1 million registered voters between 2020 and 2024 elections in 30 states, along with Washington, D.C., that allow people to register with a political party. In the remaining 20 states, voters do not register with a political party. And in those states, modeled out, according to the New York Times, they lost 2.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worse in some ways when you're not registering by political party.
Yeah, they might not even know where the bottom is on this if you're the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point, is that, like, if you have to go, if you have to go in and, like, change your registration from one thing to another, like, it takes an act to do it. But, like, if you don't need to do that and you're just, like, a registered voter, it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse because people are just not identifying with the Democratic Party at all.
So sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and when you approach a midterm, you expect the party out of power to do better than they did in the presidential year. But if you look at what Democrats are doing, we've said this over and over again on the show, they are taking up the mantle of violent crime. They're taking up the mantle of open borders. Obama deported people. Obama tried to pretend like he was cracking down and against violent crime. And now somehow Democrats today are like, no, more murderers on the street. If you rape somebody, we need to understand that your psyche before we do anything to slap you on the wrist. Like, their philosophy is antithetical to what a normal person who wants some sort of representation out of their government is looking for.
Yeah, this article kind of nods to it, but doesn't say it specifically. I think I would love to find out more about this one part of the story, and that is so many of these Democratic voter registration groups who are nonpartisan on paper, right? But like they go to voters who are under the age of 35 or voters who are black and they register for the first time. And the Democratic Party has always been like, well, this is the bread and butter of our coalition. And they registered all of these people ahead of 2024. And then what happens? Donald Trump makes historic gains with those people. So I think we need to tip the cap.
Discussion. Hold on.
These people helped us.
There was a public discussion that was had in fundraising circles, and you're hearing this on Ruthless. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. There was a conversation that was had last spring about this very, very thing.
I know.
Where they went to these big major donor retreats, and they suggested for the first time that this activity is not worth being funded because an inordinate number of Latinos, particularly second generation Hispanic Americans, were not going to be on their side in the same way. Same was true of African Americans. So they were like, you know what, here's the thing. Let's just stop the
It's so funny.
Let's just stop.
And these are Democratic operatives for a generation who would say that we are holier than thou. We are the good people. Because when everybody votes, Democrats win.
Yeah.
And they don't give a fuck about anybody voting.
They don't care.
It's all about power.
It was a strategy. I mean, they literally were like, everybody votes, everybody wins, they championed for decades universal voting registration. When you turn 18, everybody ought to be registered to vote, until they thought for a second that they might not actually get the majority of those new votes, and in which case they were like, stop!
It's so funny.
Stop the count!
I can't wait for them to be for voter ID.
Oh, dude, I mean, it's just, it's completely hilarious. But what has happened, if you look at it, is that there's a stampede, according to the New York Times, away from the Democratic Party in battleground states. All told, Democrats lost 2.1 million. I mean, it keeps getting worse and worse. This is a quote that I just can't get enough of it. Anyone who says that these things are not concerning for Democrats is, in my opinion, mostly lying. Says, what is it, Lakshay Jain, a Democratic analyst, a co-founder of Split Ticket, a nonpartisan.
We know what that is.
First of all, I'd just suggest for a second that if you're expressing concern, you're probably not bipartisan. But if it's not, maybe he's just given like a full-throated evaluation, which in case, look, it's valuable information.
So, a couple things. So I like the quote from the guy from Decision Desk, Michael Prusser, saying that, I don't want to say the death cycle of the Democratic Party, but there seems to be no end to this. in the New York Times.
Yeah.
You've got a guy, and they print, looks like the death cycle for the Democratic Party. Another thing I'm curious about, how much of this is being expedited by the Real ID? Because I know for North Carolina, every time you go and you get your driver's license, they ask you want to update your voter reg? Do you want to update what party you're registered with? Do you want to do all that? I wonder, as people across this country are getting Real IDs, if they were formerly Democrats, they're like, hell no, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Good point.
And then think of what other
Great climate for that to be happening.
think of what other externalities happening in our politics right now might impact this and supercharge it ahead of the new census in 2030, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you actually deport these illegal immigrants in sanctuary states and they can't count for the census, and we do reapportionment by actual American citizens, and then you also have the Republicans with these numbers on the registration advantage, those two things in concert, wow.
It becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at graphic 3, for example, in 2018, Democrats accounted for 34% of new voter registrations nationwide, where Republicans were only 20, yet by 2024, Republicans had overtaken Democrats in new registrants. The share rose by 9 percentage points. To the point that you just made, I think that is the most important discussion, because we just had an election that was about whether or not illegal immigrants constituted a group that should be considered Americans. And the American people, by like a 70-30 margin, were like, no, they should not. Like, we should consider people who came here illegally not as a part of the American voting electorate, the tax-paying electorate, and everything else. And so the Trump administration has turned around and be like, all right, well, that's pretty easy. We should eliminate them from the census.
Right. It only makes sense.
Do you know what happens to the Democratic Party when you eliminate illegal aliens from a census? Boy, oh boy, they're going to lose an awful lot of seats. They just are. So if the registration, a potential census that includes only American taxpayers, which, by the way, blows my effing mind that we've ever had a census that includes people that don't belong here.
Ridiculous.
Is insane. I can't believe that we've gotten away with this. Like, litigate that all the way to the high court, by the way. That is completely insane. It was literally meant for apportionment of tax-paying Americans and voters. That is it. It is not for people who just happen
to allow it to be under the current system where illegals are counted the same as a U.S. citizen in a census. All you're doing is incentivizing getting as many illegals as you can. How has this been allowed?
Right. And what happens when Democrats come up with a system like that? They ship 20,000 Haitians to Springfield, Ohio, and airdrop them into a city that cannot support 20,000 people who don't speak English. And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, wait a minute, we have Democrats in this area. It is insane. Like, I can't believe they've gotten away with this for as long as they have, and it has to change.
I totally agree. But the third component of all of this is the guest we had 2 weeks ago with Governor Abbott, which, by the way, made a splash along with Governor DeSantis several years ago by shipping people to Martha's Vineyard in Chicago and New York to make it a regional problem rather than a local problem with illegal immigration, raised the profile of all of that, and made it a center-left, center-right issue, not a conservative issue. But this is a guy who's also taken upon himself to do the redistricting fight. Now, Democrats, as long as I've been alive, have done things that are nefarious. About gerrymandering. I mean, they're the authors of this thing.
Oh, they get away with it.
They get away with it, exactly. Just like the old beehole.
They do it in secret.
They always do.
They do, just like the beehole, the L-hole. Right?
That's what they do.
That's what they do. But anyway, like, we started to fight fire with fire, where Republicans are starting to redistrict in the states that they control, the same way that Democrats have for millennia. Like, since the beginning, Democrats, I mean, look at Illinois, look at Massachusetts, look at all these places where you have 40 or above Republican representation and they have like less than 20% representation in Congress. And Republicans have just like, oh, yeah, that's kind of the way we do it. Well, Texas is like, fuck that. We're going to change all of this. We control it. And so you're now going to get districts that we control. And California responds, and we're going to get to that in a minute.
Yep.
But where this goes from here is a commitment by Republican governors and Republican legislatures to understand that they're in a very real war here. This is not a polite conversation. This is not something that is like, well, let's just, good minds disagree. Good minds don't disagree on this. Good minds have not been a part of this conversation forever. They're talking about like nonpartisan committees that decide.
Like that's real.
Yeah. Meanwhile, these people are like showing up at George Soros rallies.
Yeah,
and they're
right.
like nonpartisan. Right? Anytime you say something as a Republican that is nonpartisan, if you're like, oh, no, I'm going to hitch my wagon to nonpartisan, all that means is that you're hitching your wagon to something that's like Soros fund.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So, like, either everyone gets with the program on this, or you're going to continue to get screwed by a nationwide effort that Democrats have engaged in for decades, which is trying to squeeze out majorities with a minority of the population that believes in what they're trying to do.
A portion counting illegal immigrants.
And that is, I think, a huge component of it. Anyway, so if you look at all of this, and this is a really important story, a lot of optimism for Republicans. Got to see it all the way through. But I think a really, really important story. We have a question of the day that results in all of this. And we'd be interested when you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program. You can give us all your comments. I think you know by now we read every single one of them, and we often comment on them as well. This one is, how can Republicans capitalize from Democrats cratering support? Because it's not enough to just sit back and just watch.
No. Now's the time. Now's the foot on the gas time, but how? That's what I want to know from our viewers and listeners.
I'll tell you what, Democrats just sat back and watched in 2010. They just sat back and watched and thought we were going to all implode. The Time magazine cover of the Republican elephant walking away saying it's a regional party.
They
didn't think we could reconstitute. And then we came back and won the House, and within 4 years we had historic majorities in the House and the Senate, and then elected President Trump in 2016. Like, the cautionary tale is out there.
Yeah.
They're doing bad stuff. You got to step on the neck to make sure that, like, progressive liberalism doesn't become a resurgent ideology here. And so that's our question of the day. How can Republicans capitalize from the Democrats' cratering support? And when we come back, we're going to get to your comments from last episode. It was a very high-minded discussion, fellas.
Yeah.
We were talking about the U.S. and Ukraine and what's the right role for the United States and all that right after this.
Our nation is standing up for American workers, restoring the pride of making products here at home. That's what we do every day. We're America's beverage companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns, delivering brands that have been enjoyed for generations, creating good-paying jobs, the kind that require only a strong work ethic. Because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great.
We learn more from you than we do almost anything else here on the Ruthless Variety program, and that's why we encourage you all to respond to the question of the day. When you like and subscribe, we read every single one of them, and we give you a handful back every week, every episode. To do that, we always start with the voice.
Okay, first one comes from Steve Briggs, and Steve writes, "We're in the right place, and Trump is doing the right thing." To add, America tolerated American tripwire boots in Germany from 1945 through 1991. Steve Briggs with a little bit of history.
I like that. I mean, our people think about stuff, you know? They think about stuff.
We got a great audience.
It's just like, God, I just appreciate you people so much. It's fantastic. Dunks, what do we got?
Comment 2 is from A. Morrison.
This is a very good one.
Yeah, A. Morrison writes, the U.S.'s role in the Russia-Ukraine peace talks should include a Putin versus Zelensky old-school WWE fight with Marco Rubio reffing in a black and white shirt and a whistle. Since Margaret Brennan is so hot for an alpha male, she can don the bikini and heels and be the ring girl. Kudos to Smug for noticing the unbuttoned shirt.
Buddy, that was a hot.
You know, Rubio would hear that and he's like, bro, I have enough jobs. Please, no more.
One of the funniest parts of our show is when Smug is quiet for most of a segment.
You can't let me think.
And you can see the wheels are turning inside of his head, and he's just going to let the intrusive thoughts win.
It's the problem.
I always get super nervous when he gives me a smile, and I don't know what he's smiling about.
It's intrusive thoughts, man.
Yeah.
It's 100% like Duncan said.
Yeah, it totally is. All right, Smug, what do we got for comment 3?
Comment 3 comes from Ray Johnson. Ray writes, Trump has us in a great position, regaining our superior role in world politics and projecting an attitude of peace through strength. Like it or not, we do have a stake in this war, both financially, trade, and morally. I trust that he will not order the first boot on Russian or Ukrainian soil. America's back and the entire world is watching. It's the art of the deal, baby.
Smart. I like all that.
It's really good. It's really good. When we come back, we're going to get into... We've got a little bit more on redistricting. Mm-hmm. We got a little bit more on... We have a game.
Yeah.
Because it's Thursday. So it's a signature game. We've got some variety, and we're going to have a lot more fun right after this.
Only 58% of Americans today say they're proud to be American. The lowest number ever recorded. That's not just sad, it is very dangerous, because if we forget what makes America special, we risk losing it. That's why Americans for Prosperity is launching the One Small Step campaign, a bold nationwide initiative to reconnect Americans with our founding principles that sparked unparalleled innovation and prosperity. It's not just a celebration, it's a call to action. Through the 250,000 Steps for Freedom Challenge, AFP is partnering with the grassroots in all 50 states to take meaningful steps that defend freedom and advance opportunity. Call your representative, attend a local event, knock on a door, talk to your neighbors. Every single step counts, and every step moves us closer to a more perfect union. Go to takeonesmallstep.com to learn more, then join the challenge at afpvolunteer.com.
Breaking news here on the Ruthless Friday program. We have new information that nobody else has that we have been running to ground based on all of our correspondence with others across the country as it relates to the DCCC's involvement in the redistricting efforts of California. Recall, this is an effort that was undertaken by Gavin Newsom, who's running for president quite transparently, in an attempt to try to garner favor with the progressive left as a response to Texas and what they've done with redistricting. Mm-hmm. A lot of questions about a map that they've drawn, and we have new information. Duncan.
Yeah, so number one, the D-Trip took credit for the creation of this map in a statement from August 15th.
This is the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
Right, at a Washington, D.C.
They're basically a PAC that gets a lot of money from big donors on the Democratic side to elect Democrat members of the House.
Not exactly native to California. They take credit, quote, earlier today, the DCCC submitted a proposed congressional map to the legislative portal with collaborative input from stakeholders and legislators. Okay, so they're going to take a little bit of credit for this sort of thing. What did Democrats in California have to say about all of that?
It's pretty tough. Yeah. It's a pretty tough look just to start with, to have a national organization being like we in Washington, D.C. Have an idea. We submitted a proposal to you in California about what your representation should be. That's sort of like the basis of why it is that we came up with the republic that we have. But nevertheless, what did California Democrats do with that?
Yeah, let's go to clip number 5, please.
But can any of you answer whether or not were state lawmakers involved in drawing the maps? Any state lawmakers at all?
Not to my knowledge.
But who adjusted them last night at 8 p.m.?
It was my understanding that they were by 8 a.m. They were out there.
No, so
there was a collaboration, but we can get to the people that actually did that work.
So then why does the legislation say the detailed maps are prepared by the Assembly and State Senate Elections Committees?
So the reality is that it was a collaboration, and we can get those specifics. But I think what's most important is the maps are out there for people to see, to evaluate, to make a judgment on. The lines are the lines.
Madam Chair, but
so we are that.
when you consume something, don't you want to know who makes it? When you are presented with something, don't you want to know where it's coming from? Don't voters deserve
When
to
I
know?
go to a restaurant, I don't need to meet the chef. I just enjoy the food.
Yes, same.
It's just like making a cheeseburger.
Yes, because democracy is like going to Chef Jeff's. I mean, what a wild...
Dude, that is such a blue state take. That is so... When you are surrounded by the comfort of a blue machine, you have zero talent. You just do what the bosses tell you. You never face any real elections or opposition. You're like, oh, come on. It's like when I go to a restaurant, the chef makes me something. You don't ask any questions. It's insane they think you can get away with
And
that.
so it seems sort of nefarious, right? You got this DC group who's taking credit for writing the maps. The local officials won't tell you who wrote the maps. It seems sort of incestuous between all of these people. Where there's smoke, I believe the Ruthless Variety program has found fire.
Well, I think you have found fire. And before you get into that fire, let me just say, for those of you who don't eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff like we do, the reason this matters has nothing to do with California. It has everything to do with the composition of a House of Representatives, without which you would not be paying the same tax rates that you were paying this year. You would not have the full accomplishment of a Trump legislative agenda. What you would have is a Democratic majority that is trying to impeach him on the reg as evidenced by the first term. And that is quite literally the difference that California in itself is trying to overcome by redrawing their maps. They're trying to just push as many Democrats into Congress as they possibly can to impeach the president rather than accomplish the legislative agenda. I just want to level set on that. Because this is not a California story.
No, it's a Democratic Party story.
You're living in the middle of Idaho right now. This is literally, quite literally, what your tax return looks like.
Well, and they're using the power, like we talked about in the previous segment, the power of these outside liberal groups, 501c3s and C4s, as the muscle to get this stuff that they want accomplished done. And that brings me to our next clip, which is Jody Hicks, the head of Planned Parenthood in California, testifying in support of these new maps. Let's play that clip.
Let's take a look.
Today we have two witnesses testifying in support. I'll allow them to self-identify.
And you each have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. I am Jody Hicks, the CEO and president of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California. I'm here representing all 7 affiliates and over 100 health centers throughout the state of California. And I'm here in strong support to this measure.
Okay.
She's in strong support of the measure.
Can we talk for a minute about how one of the people who are testifying in support of the redistricting in California runs an abortion store?
Yeah.
Like that's what they're like, oh, I have a good idea of how the California people are best represented, and I do so through the lens of an organization that advocates for abortion in the 9th month. Like, what does that have to do with voting? What does that have to do with representation? It has absolutely not. But it gives you an idea of the perversion. It gets worse.
Well, because this Jody Hicks woman, who's the head of Planned Parenthood in California, which I don't believe she discloses in that testimony at any point, is married to this guy, Paul Mitchell, who's the data consultant with the D-Trip that made the maps.
You're kidding.
Wait a minute.
This is insane.
So you're saying there's a data consultant that has a contract with the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, charged with electing Democrats nationwide, who did the work to come up with maps that are advantageous for Democratic elections in the state of California, presented it, which is why the lady couldn't tell you where it is that she got it, and then his wife is the corroborating witness as to its integrity?
Yeah, I mean, this is how the Democratic Party works.
They're
It's
like,
incredible.
We like to think of politics as a family business.
And to their credit, I have seen some local reporters this afternoon starting to dig around on some of these connections, but it's been totally absent in the national news conversation about this whole redistricting plan that Gavin Newsom wants to do.
What an amazing thing. So the abortion store just signed off on her husband's map. And they're all like, yeah, we don't know where we got it, but we got it, and we're good with it. The abortion store is good with it.
Yeah.
And this guy lives in the bowels of D.C., which, by the way, is like universally advocating for like crime and things like that. He's got the best sense.
What an incredible microcosm of how Democratic politics is wired up for the elites in these organizations that control everything.
Dude, totally.
Right, and I think the next time you hear a Democrat get on their high horse and give you a lecture about how you don't care about democracy, you need to remember this. You need to remember their reaction to 2024. And when people were like, you know what, I don't want violent crime running rampant in my streets, Democrats' reaction to that is not, well, maybe we need to come up with a way to reduce violent crime too from our side. No. Their reaction to that is we need to cheat our way back into power using the abortion stores and every lever of power that we possibly can come up with.
Yeah.
It's really quite something.
It's something.
And they obviously have a huge amount of fanfare and deference in the national press, one of which our European allies actually sort of noted in some regard. You recall on Monday you had the entirety of the European Union in the Oval Office, and they had some thoughts on what President Trump had to encounter on a day-to-day basis. Clip 6, please.
That's all we ask for is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
A lot of crosstalk.
No, thank you for being so fair.
All the time.
But he loves it. He loves it. For he does it always. I never want to speak with my friend. Yeah, I know.
He went to college.
But he says you always...
So it's great that like all the European leaders are like, man, your press sucks. And they're like, he has to deal with this garbage every day. But Trump's like, yeah, I do it. And you know, that guy, he's pretty good at golf, honestly. Like he just rolls right back. I mean, dude's like, yeah, you know, he's pretty good at golf too. Like the press is nothing to him. He wants to talk about who's a good player.
And then you got Maloney from Italy being like, he loves it. He's good at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, and not only that, but she's like, I avoid that thing.
Yeah.
I never want to talk to those losers.
Oh, jeez. It just gives you a good... So I think we've given you a pretty good encapsulation of what is framing the national discussion here in late August. Can't believe how
breaking
fast...
news. This year has flown.
It has flown.
Yeah.
Summer's dead and gone, Smug?
That's right. It really is. I mean, geez, you talk to your wife, they've already got all the like fall decorations ready to go, and they're already planning Christmas. It's like, my God.
Pumpkin spice season.
Year's over.
You had a great suggestion to all the men.
Yeah, it was that you have to book your wife's, apple picking photo shoot for bye week. You don't want to find yourself on a Saturday or a Sunday with your team plan where you got to be out there taking 10 angles.
That's
trying to get the
so
light
smart.
right.
That's good thinking.
Yeah.
It's just, it's around the corner stuff. That's
Great
what we do
advice.
here on the Ruthless Variety program. Are you guys ready to play a game?
Yes.
Always.
Let's lighten this thing up. King of the Hill.
The signature game of the Ruthless Variety program.
It is. I'm a judge here, so I'm going to rule ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Smug,
I'm
your
the bailiff. Yep.
Right, and our defending champion.
Cheri Jacobus.
Unfair. I saw a little bit of her content. I'm going to do my best, fellas, but it's going to be difficult.
Who are you bringing?
I'm bringing Rick Wilson.
Okay.
I'm expecting a lot of theatrics because I think you've got to do everything you can do to overcome what is just 10 of 10 content.
Yeah, let's go ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It's time for King of the Hill. In the red corner, fighting from the Daily Beast and the Lincoln Project, Rick Wilson. And now, In the blue corner, fighting from her own Twitter account, and current champion of the world, Commie Cheri Jacobus.
Nice.
Have we ever encountered anybody who knows these people who have talked about their reaction to the way that we present them here on the Ruthless Friday?
I mean, I know they're not pleased. Like, I think Cheri Jacobus has blocked all of us.
Oh, yeah,
right?
for sure.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I think they all have blocked. I mean, we have to have like a whole series of staff that get in on their accounts.
I mean, they're all aware.
They are aware. I just wonder whether or not they have any appreciation for a read like that.
I don't know. Yeah, it hasn't changed their content at all.
No, but maybe they're playing for it.
They might be.
That's what I'm trying to uncover. Anyway, as the judge and jury, I will expect the champion to be ready with the first take.
Your Honor, I begin with the guns of August. Exhibit number 7, please. It's a photo, and in the rise of the AI era, Cheri Jacobus has clearly had an AI idea here. And for those listening, what
This
she
is
has
so
done is
insane.
created a photo of what appears to be Gavin Newsom looking at Melania Trump, and now Gavin is in like a
It's like a Speedo.
swimsuit, a Speedo swimsuit, and they're in a jungle, and he is looking over her, over top of her. And I think what I would like to point out about this AI is it takes a special sort of demented soul to come up with the prompt to create this kind of an image. And Cheri Jacobus, as a former Republican, is just that sort of demented soul. So I present to you Exhibit 7, the guns of August.
The AI being forced to do that is why the computers are going to kill us all.
I mean, that is quite something.
They're not going to forget they were forced to do that shit.
It is also, it comes on the heels of the Ruthless Friday program getting some inside knowledge and something we're investigating that has nothing to do with Melania Trump, obviously, but has something to do with Gavin Newsom in this regard.
Stay tuned for that.
What
a killer teaser.
Your Honor, if I may add one more.
Bailiff?
What is
You've done enough. You've done enough, dude.
This was
You've done
posted at 6:35 a.m.
All right, that's good.
Oh, it's an A.
Wait, I mean, again.
That's good. No, I appreciate that. I withdraw my objection.
Yeah.
In fair play. Okay. Rick Wilson, exhibit number 12, please. Rick Wilson is quote tweeting an account talking about, Donald Trump. He's got dementia or something, right?
Yeah.
A topic that escaped Rick Wilson's eagle eyes for the 4 years of Joe Biden's presidency. And Rick Wilson quote tweets and says, he'd be out on the ice floe by now, describing how Donald Trump would be put out to pasture if, it was fair.
I think I'm going to ask the bailiff for his consideration. I think in order to fully consider that, I'm going to require a full reading of the retweet because I don't know that I understand the context of the.
In this one instance,
no objections.
Okay, if there's no objections, then I'll allow it.
Okay, so the tweet he's quote tweeting says, "He's a sick old man," talking about Trump. If he was your peepaw, you'd start having quote the talk about what to do with him. This is about Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. This is about Donald Trump. A guy who just flew to Alaska, did a summit with Vladimir Putin, flies back to Washington, D.C., does a summit with Vladimir Zelensky and all of the European leaders, then does a phone call with Putin, and then schedules a bilateral with Ukraine and Russia.
It takes more effort. And here's the thing. I don't think this would win every time. But I do think in the context of the week that we have experienced, where once again, for the third time in as many months, you've seen Donald Trump single-handedly restore America as the leader of the free world and begin to regalvanize allies in common cause for one thing or another. 48 hours removed from a trip to Alaska, he arrives back home at 3 a.m. Monday morning. He's got every single European president in his office where he, not anybody else, is dictating the pace of play. The idea that in the context of that he is the one that is supposed to be on the ice flow, to me, far outweighs an AI Gavin Newsom. I'm going to give it to the challenger here.
Wow.
I got to say, that's a good ruling, to be honest.
Wow.
Good reasoning, too.
I feel like I got away with one there. I appreciate that. I did a little pageantry, though, and it was rewarded.
I just think, I mean, dude, I'm
No, you're right.
But I'm captivated.
I didn't think you could ignore.
I can't.
The underwear.
It's hard
I
to
was
ignore.
worried
But
about that
I
one.
think the context is so important because I think, to a certain extent, we're starting to get used to Trump having these like massive W's that like you got to take a step back and
It's
be
true.
like, dude, that was an insane week of W's.
When somebody rolls in at 3 a.m. on Saturday, is pumping out tweets at 5 a.m. on Sunday.
Bangers, too. They're fun.
And then Monday morning hosts the entirety of the free world in his office where he unites them in a common cause message back to the guy he just met with on Friday. Like, that is a wild thing. Like, you should really stop and appreciate that because it's not done. Even the most vigorous presidents haven't done that.
And then at the same time, bringing like an end to crime in D.C. where there's 0 murders. That's been his week.
Yeah, pretty good week. All right, W. Let's go to the challenger.
Okay, so and just part of the fun and pageantry of the Ruthless Variety program, I'm going to choose to play this tweet. I don't know if it's my strongest, but it's an AI-generated one. I want to provide some more of that content because he had one in the last one.
Sure.
Exhibit number 15. Rick Wilson has an AI-generated photo of George H.W. Bush, Reagan, JFK, and Truman. And he writes, "Real American presidents versus Trump. What American presidents worth the name would say today," and then a link to his Substack.
Just self-serving.
Mind you, and just as to dovetail back on the previous segment, in this week, a week in which the United States is finally the leader of the free world again, and everybody is coming to Donald Trump and America to solve the world's problems. You're like, well, I need a Substack post about how Donald Trump isn't an American president. What is one thing that Joe Biden did in his 4 years that outshines what Donald Trump has done in the last week?
It would
I can't
also
name
seem
one.
to me that like Harry Truman would have a soft spot for something like that.
Harry Truman would have been dropping bombs.
All right, what do we got from the champion?
Okay, similarly self-serving, but not about some Substack. Exhibit 9, please. Cheri Jacobus writes, "I have half the followers over on Blue Sky that I have here, but get over twice the engagement. Elon Mush has me shadow banned, so I guess I must be doing something right." Cheri Jacobus wrote at 4:20 p.m. in the afternoon. And I will tell you, fellas, we place a high value on misuse of the internet over here in this game. And not only did she misspell Elon Musk's name, she is pretending that Blue Sky is somehow better than Twitter for community conversation.
Do we think she did that on purpose, or do you think she did that by accident?
I'm searching right now if like Elon Mush is an actual account and if it's like where libs go to
Yeah,
fly
I'd
or
be
something.
interested in the bailiff's findings on that. I will say
No, it's actually just a trash account. There's no tweets from it. It's like someone has created at Elon Mush, but it's got 41 followers, no profile photo, no tweet. So it is actual just
so it's a
misuse.
misspelling.
Again,
it's a misuse.
Again, posted at 4:20 on the dot.
This is troubling because I feel like I have myself been served a fair amount of Sherry Masheri over the last week. And I believe that my co-host is holding in abeyance items that were sure winners. Assuming that this judge and jury would side with him on something as trivial as a misuse of the internet.
Oh.
I believe that there are several takes out there that I saw that were nuclear bombs this week. And
I would file amicus in agreement of that.
I've been served it
Yes.
conservative directly. I try not to look because I try to remain impartial, but because none of those bombs were in the first 2 rounds, instead, they're relying on a technicality here in round 2. I'm going to award the challenger.
Yes. Let's
win.
go.
Wow.
That's what you get for slow rolling.
Dude.
Can I read the third? Can I just please, if it pleases
No,
the
I think
court-
it should be punished if you don't play. If you play
But
it
now
safe,
it's
you
for
should
all of our
lose.
enjoy- it's all for our enjoyment. For the
No,
audience.
she already
let's see
lost.
it. Let's see
Everyone
it.
should be mad at Ashbrook.
No, I want to see
Fine.
it, though.
Be mad at me, but enjoy this.
What's the number of the exhibit?
This is exhibit number 4, please. Cheri Jacobus, Putin will keep what he has on Trump from the Epstein files secret
man!
if
Why
Trump
didn't you-
delivers
Dude, it was just a
Ukraine.
dead set.
Trump trying to buy him off with other baubles, Alaska's rare earth minerals, red carpet butt kissing compliments. The only reason Putin installed Trump was Ukraine, no other reason.
Huge mistake.
I held it back.
It was a surefire winner.
It was a surefire winner, but a poor strategy by yours truly.
Okay, well, that's the game of King of the Hill here this week. I've got one more story for you, fellas. It falls in the variety segment. I believe this is something that was raised by Smug. There's a woman in her 50s. This is according to page 6.
New
of
York
the
Post,
New York
always
Post.
gold.
Who allegedly bit a child, age 6, in the Hamptons over a tussle of a free concert T-shirt. So, look, let me just read it. Talk about dog days of summer. You got to appreciate.
New York Post, man.
You got to appreciate.
Unstoppable.
Page 6, here's the Hampton cops are investigating claims that a woman in her 50s bit a 6-year-old child over a tussle to claim a free T-shirt at a concert. Sources out east say the alleged incisive incident happened at the Tuesdays on Main beach event in East Hampton last week. It seems as though organizers of the popular family-friendly free concert series used T-shirt cannons to fire off favors into the audience, as it's done. People enjoy that kind of thing.
Tuesday in the Hamptons?
Yeah, exactly. So during last Tuesday's event, headlined by an 80s cover band, Rubik's Cube, a mole alleges.
Classic New York Post writing.
Totally. A 6-year-old kid grabs one of the T-shirts, but a 57-year-old woman battles him for the T-shirt, and he prevails, but not before she bites him on the arm to get the upper hand.
I mean, wow.
A second source said the child was treated by medics. Wow. And that the cops have a suspect in the matter. They had to investigate. Cops told us they're not ready to release the information about the matter, but they're still investigating this bad boy. So some woman with a T-shirt cannon.
No, to get the T-shirt.
She wrestled a 6-year-old to the ground and used biting in order to obtain a free T-shirt.
Like who fights like a bouquet at a wedding for a T-shirt at a concert? That's wild.
It's wild. So whose side are we on here?
So I think she should be jailed. They need to make this quick. No. I mean, so this is a larger problem. I think a lot of adults in this country are not considerate of children, especially like children's spaces. Like, you know, the famous Ashbrook story, if he goes to Disney with his little kids and you've got Disney adults that are like cutting in line and elbowing and like, what is wrong with you people? Like, it's a child. Like a 6-year-old child wants the T-shirt. Let him have the T-shirt. What, you have to go on eBay and buy this like 80 bands T-shirt? You live in the Hamptons, okay? And also, a lot of people in the Hamptons are bad folks. Like, the few times I've had to summer there, not a good time. By and large...
He said summer.
By and large, they're not great folks. Not great folks there.
Can I confess something?
You enjoy it?
No, I really thought you were going to come out on side of the woman.
Yeah.
No.
I did too. We
no.
talked about this before you got here for the production meeting. I was convinced that you were going to say, finally, this woman is disciplining the child. I'm sure the parents have not disciplined
here's
the
thing.
child.
It's not like it's a story on an airplane of the child starting a problem. The child's not starting a problem. The child's trying to get a T-shirt. It just wants the T-shirt. Let the kid have a T-shirt. Grow up.
I'm shocked.
Look at a well-adjusted week here from
Well, I'm always right, so everything I say is correct.
He's
So
all
taking the correct
grown
side.
up, and he's all grown up.
But I mean, what a disgusting lady. Biting a kid, you need to be locked up.
Yeah.
That's, like that is actual jail time. This is not pay a ticket and apologize. Lock her up.
I think we all agree on that. Thank you, Comfortably Smug. It's a refreshing
Right as always, folks.
Hope they test for rabies.
Seriously.
Exactly right. Just remember our question of the day, which is a very, very good one. If I can find it, fellas, because I'm going to have to sort through my mini papers.
There it is right there.
It's how can Republicans capitalize on the cratering support that they're having in registration throughout this country? How can they seize this moment?
Put the foot on the neck of the Dems if their registrations are going down.
Yeah, what's the best way to do it? Is it more of the same? I don't know. I mean, you guys all have good ideas because you live in your communities, you talk to your neighbors, and there's some probably Dems out there that aren't as anxious as they once were to tell you about how pious they are about their opinions. So give us your thoughts. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Friday program, we read every single one, and we're going to get back to you on Friday. With that, fellas, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much to the Minions. Remember, if you have not yet, subscribe to the YouTube because it's more fun in video. So until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you Friday. Stay ruthless.